The president passed away. The funeral is the day after tomorrow. I received that sudden news 2 days ago. It was from Paul, my boss at the head office, who had transferred me to the countryside. Of course, you must come, he cautioned. It's obvious that any employee would attend the president's funeral, he added. I was irked by his usual attitude. And today, leaving the rural branch of the food distribution company where I was transferred, I got a flight to get to the church. It looks like I'll make it on time. After the flight, I was about to catch a train from the airport. I noticed a woman struggling at the ticket booth while pushing a wheelchair. As I was about to be approached by a station attendant, I felt they looked somewhat displeased. On closer inspection, the woman seemed to be a foreigner. In the wheelchair, there appeared to be a girl who looked like an elementary school student and also a foreigner. Could they be mother and daughter? Somewhat curious, I casually approached them and realized they were speaking Vietnamese. Actually, I had majored in Vietnamese as a second language in college. I had taken the courses seriously and even obtained a qualification. I also had experience working as a host in a Vietnamese restaurant. Thanks to living among Vietnamese speakers, I could converse to a certain extent. With this background, I decided to boldly speak to them in Vietnamese if they were in trouble. What seems to be the problem? The woman looked surprised for a moment, but then responded in Vietnamese. Wow! Can you speak Vietnamese? Relieved that we could communicate, I nodded. Yes, I can speak a little since I studied it in college. I thought I might help if you were having trouble. She looked pleased. Thank you. Actually, I'm having trouble figuring out how to buy a ticket. I tried asking the station attendant, but I hardly speak any English, so it didn't work out. I was wondering what to do. It's good to find someone kind. Could you show me how to buy a ticket? That's tough. Of course, I'll guide you to the ticket counter. I showed her how to purchase an IC card and how to add funds to it, then we passed through the ticket gates together. Thank you so much. You've been a great help. They both looked completely relieved. I was simply happy to use what I had learned to help someone. Don't mention it. There's an elevator over there you can use. As I pointed it out, I realized something. No way. The elevator was out of order. This is a problem. It seems to be out of order. Hearing that, she looked greatly distressed. Oh no, what should we do? I have a very important matter to attend to today. Her face, which had brightened up, clouded over again. I hesitated for a moment about carrying the wheelchair up the stairs. Depending on its weight, it could take a lot of time. Then I might not make it to the president's funeral. I thought about asking for help from the station attendants, but it was clear they were consciously avoiding eye contact. I didn't want such people to carry the wheelchair. All right, there's no other way. I couldn't just abandon them now. I made up my mind. If you'd like, I can carry the wheelchair up the stairs. Can you carry your daughter on your back? Yes, I can. Thank you. She happily agreed. I took the girl out of the wheelchair, folded it, and tried carrying it. It was quite heavy. Perhaps it was foreign-made, or are domestic ones this heavy too? I had never carried another wheelchair, so I couldn't compare. With determination, I somehow managed to carry it up the stairs. Are you okay? Even though she was carrying her daughter and must have been heavy herself, she kept asking if I was all right. I'm fine. Aren't you the one who's carrying something heavy? Pretending to be calm, I continued up the stairs. I'm okay. I'm used to carrying my daughter on my back. She smiled as we reached the landing midway up the stairs, so we decided to rest there. I should have asked earlier. I'm sorry. Was it okay for me to ask for your help? I thought you might be in a hurry. Yes, I am actually in a bit of a hurry. I remembered Paul's face for a moment and laughed it off as I replied, which surprised her. That's not good. Please, don't worry about us and go ahead. She insisted, but I couldn't just leave them halfway up the stairs. She definitely couldn't carry the heavy wheelchair up on her own. Don't worry. You two are more important, so let me help you to the end. Looking at the time, it seemed I could still make it to the funeral if we continued on. After resting and regaining some strength, we slowly continued up the remaining stairs. You can do it. Thank you, big brother. The girl cheered me on. Finally, we made it to the top. We did it! We've arrived! I'm so grateful for your help. Thank you so much. The three of us were relieved as we reached the platform. Then, the train was about to close the doors. Oh no! I reflexively started to run, but before I could, the train doors closed and it started moving. Oh my goodness! I wouldn't make it to the president's funeral on this train. Now I'll be late. I'm sorry. It's my fault you missed the train. She apologized repeatedly upon seeing my reaction, but I didn't want to make them feel sad. It's okay. I'm sure it'll work out. I smiled to reassure her. I called Paul while waiting for the next train, but he didn't answer, probably busy. I felt a mix of anxiety and relief. Once the girl was back in her wheelchair, I sat on a bench and asked something I had been wondering about. Do you guys live here? We just moved here after getting married, but there have been some issues. She didn't want to talk more about it, so I quickly apologized. I'm sorry for asking something strange. You don't have to talk about it. As we talked, time kept passing. The next train was in 15 minutes. I sighed looking at the timetable. I was getting depressed to meet Paul again. Aside from being late for the president's funeral, meeting him was just disheartening. Is there something else bothering you, aside from missing the train? The woman's question caught me off guard. Usually, I wouldn't talk about such things, but feeling more relaxed, I started to open up. I'm sorry for sighing. Actually, there's been some unfairness at work. I was transferred to a remote branch that I need to get flight. I used to have a stable job at the headquarters. That's so sad. It's not something I should be telling someone I just met, but I was scapegoated by my boss and ended up in this situation. I have to meet with him soon, and that's why I was feeling down. Sorry for talking about this. No one has ever listened to me before. It's okay. You helped us, so let us thank you by listening. She smiled brightly. I feel a bit embarrassed. I've never talked to anyone about work troubles before. I found myself talking about things I had been carrying alone for a long time. I guess I just wanted someone to listen. Words flowed out more easily than I expected. The boss dislikes me, so he framed me for a mistake and got me transferred to a rural branch. That happened just when I was about to make progress at the head office. That's tough. Thank you for sharing that with me. I wish I could help, but I'm sorry I can't do much. She murmured sadly. Just think of it as a businessman's rant. It feels better just to have talked about it. I felt guilty for burdening her with my problems. To lighten the mood, I changed the topic. Actually, I have a dream. I want to create frozen food for foreigners. Authentic dishes that remind them of their home countries. But I can't do that at the branch I'm currently at. Food development is only possible at the head office. So, I hope to return there one day and realize my dream. Wow! That sounds wonderful. I support you. As we talked, the train arrived. I helped them board, and we all got on safely. By coincidence, we got off at the same station 2 stops later. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry, but I must hurry now. As I rushed towards the exit. Thank you. Goodbye. They waved and said goodbye in their not-so-fluent English. When I finally arrived at the church, the service was almost over. While attendees were singing hymns, Paul glared at me. Oh man. I've messed up. Just thinking about what was to come gave me a headache. I trembled as I laid flowers and sat down. Right after the ceremony ended and the coffin was loaded into the hearse. I need to talk to you. Yes. Paul called me into a private room. As soon as the door closed, he started yelling loudly. What the hell are you doing? How dare you come late to the president's funeral? I'm sorry. I was helping a foreign mother and child at the station, and I got delayed. I tried to explain, terrified, but it only made him angrier. Helping people? And foreigners at that? You should have just ignored them. His loud voice seemed to carry outside the room. The managing director and other employees came running. What's going on here? I was reprimanding him for being late to the funeral. I see. Being late is not good. Why were you late? I was helping foreigners, but I told him he should have ignored them. Right then, a young man who had been listening from the back stepped forward. Wait a minute. What's this all about? Paul glared at the confident young man. Who are you to interrupt like this? I am the son of the president whose funeral was held today. I haven't been in America for a long time, so most of you don't know me, but I've returned to take over the company. Everyone was surprised. I overheard the loud voices and learned that you were berating him for helping foreigners. I don't think that's right. That's a misunderstanding. I was just reprimanding him for being late to the funeral. Paul panicked. I can't agree with you blaming him. Because the Vietnamese woman he helped is my wife. With that, the next president brought out the Vietnamese woman I had met at the station. Her appearance was unexpected, but what shocked me the most was that they were a couple. My daughter is wheelchair-bound due to a leg condition. Today, when we tried to take the train, we couldn't figure out how to buy tickets. She tried to ask a station attendant, but couldn't convey it well in English. They were both struggling when he, who speaks Vietnamese, helped them with the tickets. He also kindly carried the wheelchair up the long stairs and stayed with them until they boarded the train, despite having urgent matters. My wife, daughter, and I are very grateful to him. It's outrageous to scold him for that. Paul trembled with fear. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. But the next president was very angry. That's not all. You were extremely disrespectful towards foreigners, weren't you? Our company is planning to launch a series of products for foreigners. We can't have someone like you in our company. No way. I was just joking, you know? But Paul's pleas were in vain. Didn't you frame him and force him out of the head office? You don't need to come to the company anymore. Are you serious? Paul was dismissed on the spot. The new president looked at the trembling Paul with an expressionless face for a moment, then turned to me warmly. Thank you for helping my wife and daughter. I was supposed to drive them, but something urgent came up, and they had to take the train. I've heard about your transfer to the current branch. Such things shouldn't happen. When I become president, I'll ensure the company doesn't operate like that. Talent should be the basis of judgment. He spoke passionately. I heard you speak Vietnamese. Would you be interested in developing food products for foreigners at the head office? I was incredibly surprised. Unbelievable. Really? Of course. I want someone with your talent to lead the development. My nearly abandoned dream was coming true. I was so overwhelmed with joy and surprise that I found myself in tears. Eventually, as the new president took over, I returned to the head office and got involved in developing food products for foreigners. We developed authentic bibimbap for Koreans, a hot pot set for Chinese, and oversized onigiri for Japanese. There were failures, like oversized items that were hard to defrost, but we succeeded thanks to our united efforts and trials. The products sold well upon launch. Our sales are doing great. I'm glad I trusted you. The president was very pleased. I was promoted in recognition of my achievements. Since that incident, I became close with the president's wife and daughter. They often invited me for meals. At one of those meals, I met a friend of the president's wife, a Vietnamese woman, and we got married. It turned out to be an international marriage. Looking back, it's a strange twist of fate. I'm glad I took bold action that day. Now, holding my child, I think about ensuring happiness for my wife and child. I'll continue developing beloved products for that purpose. You're a candidate for the next president. At a company social gathering, a tipsy president once said that. Even though I knew it was a joke, it was encouraging. Maybe it's special because no one else received such a comment? I hope so, as it secretly motivates me. For the president who cares about me and for the company, I want to continue creating loved products. That's what I'm thinking.